So we've seen it over and over and over again, the race swap of characters, especially in like Marvel and Disney productions, things of that nature. But where it gets worse is right now when you're taking an actual historical figure, and that being Queen Cleopatra. So the backlash has been massive on this. And of course, they're trying to defend it, but I don't see any valid excuse to race swap Queen Cleopatra, an actual historical figure. Okay, so it's not just the YouTubers, it's not just people on Twitter who are upset about this. Netflix is getting sued by an Egyptian lawyer over this. Like, my goodness, this is making some waves. So let's read this article here. It says Egyptian lawyer sues Netflix for depicting Cleopatra as black in new documentary. The lawyer is demanding total shutdown of Netflix in Egypt. That is ambitious. I gotta give the dude props for taking on this media giant. Do I think that he has much of a chance against Netflix? I wouldn't think so, but I do commend his efforts, and we'll see where they take him. So, Egyptian lawyer Mahmoud Al-Samari, I probably pronounced that bad, but I'm trying, has sued Netflix for depicting Cleopatra as a black woman in a new documentary. Al-Samari filed a case with the public prosecutor to shut down the streaming service in Egypt following the release of the trailer for Queen Cleopatra. You can watch it below. As reported by the Egypt Independent, the lawyer has demanded that serious legal action be taken against those responsible for the making of the documentary. The case claims that the documentary contradicts and distorts Egyptian history in favor of promoting Afrocentrism. And I can understand how people, Egyptian people, would not like this, especially because I think a lot of chronically online people want to act like the only outrage from this is coming from channels like mine or from, conservative people with the whole message of, oh, it's just because they hate black people, they just want to call people racist for not wanting to see race swaps on specific characters. But in this case, when you've got actual Egyptians in an uproar on this, it shows that their argument has no legs. Not that it ever did before. When we want to see, even with fictional characters, we want to see them look like they're supposed to. I think that's a reasonable thing. That's a reasonable ask. But when it comes to actual historical figures, that is all the more serious. So I totally understand why Egyptian people would be upset about this. Al-Samari described the new depiction of the historic figure as a crime and blamed Netflix's management team for its participation in the project. He also demanded a thorough investigation of the process, as well as an outright shutdown of Netflix in Egypt. This is what's so ironic and funny about this is it's, this whole production, I don't know everybody who was on it, but probably just a bunch of Americans who wanted to do something pretty woke, quite frankly, and we're like, oh, okay, let's do this race swap, yeah, okay, thinking that they're doing something so virtuous, and in what they've actually done is disrespect the Egyptian people. So one could say that this actually was a racist act and a disrespectful act to even do that, while they're pretending that this is a virtuous thing. The case submitted against Netflix stated most of what the Netflix platform displays does not conform to Islamic and societal values and principles, especially Egyptian ones. It added, in order to preserve the Egyptian national and cultural identity among Egyptians all over the world, there must be pride in the making of such work. The complaint has also accused the makers of the documentary and platform management of forgery. Former Egyptian antiquities Minister Zahi Hawass, probably pronouncing these awful, but I'm doing my best, said that the documentary was falsifying facts, adding that this is completely fake. Cleopatra was Greek, meaning that she was blonde, not black. Queen Cleopatra, the last ruler of the Ptolemaic dynasty, was born in 69 BC and died in 30 BC in Alexandria. Back in 2020, it was announced that Wonder Woman star Gal Gadot would portray Cleopatra in a new biopic directed by Patty Jenkins. The actress later responded to criticisms of whitewashing from fans, saying the role of the Egyptian queen should be played by an Arab or African actress. First of all, if you want to be true to the facts, then Cleopatra was Macedonian, Gadot told BBC Arabic's Sam Asai. We were looking for a Macedonian actress that could fit Cleopatra. She wasn't there, and I was very passionate about Cleopatra. She added, I have friends from across the globe, whether they're Muslims or Christian or Catholic or atheist or Buddhist or Jewish, of course. People are people. And with me, I want to celebrate the legacy of Cleopatra and honor this amazing historic icon that I admire so much. She definitely would have been a lot closer of a casting, that's for sure, because if we want to look at actual art depictions of Queen Cleopatra, you know, this is what we see. We see the light hair. It looks like a reddish, blondish, brownish. But regardless, yeah, she looks very white. She looks whiter than me. You know, she looks white. So when you really could, if you want to choose, if you have to choose between the two, comparatively, this versus this, I mean, I think it's quite obvious who actually looks more like the character. So I wouldn't even be mad at it if Gal Gadot did take on a role like this. But I'm curious to know what Egyptian people would think. So let's go. I want to look at this stuff here because of course, as what happens with all this kind of stuff is they want to say don't like it, don't watch it type thing. Like right here, the actress Adele James took to Twitter to tell critics, if you don't like the casting, don't watch the show. How many times have we seen this tactic over and over and over again, only for the show or movie or whatever it be to flop and then blame the audience and say, oh, you're just a misogynist or you're just a racist. Look at this. Straight white males, this movie is not for you, with Charlie's Angels. And then right here, why are straight white males refusing to see this movie? I swear this is just the common thing is, oh, well, if you don't like it, don't watch it. And then it flops and then, oh, wait a minute. Blame the white man. Usually that's the case of what happens. And what you have here, the director of Queen Cleopatra speaks out. We need to realize that Cleopatra's story is less about her than it is about who we are. Well, isn't the show called Queen Cleopatra? Isn't this show about Queen Cleopatra? Oh no, we're just going to make a show about Queen Cleopatra, but it's not really about Queen Cleopatra. It's about the people watching it. Oh, it's about us. Oh, it's more likely that Cleopatra looked like our actor than Elizabeth Taylor ever did. No. Actually, no. That is not even true. Wow. I am scared to even read this. Why shouldn't Cleopatra be a melanated sister? See, it's just like using all these buzzwords and stuff. Like, come on, bro. Why shouldn't she? I mean, need I say more? Like, for the love of glob, dude. Wow. Oh no. They're going to say misogyny, blah, blah, blah. We need to liberate our imaginations and boldly create a world in which we can explore our historical figures without fearing the complexity that comes with their depiction. Oh my gosh. This is a lot of fluffy buzzwords to try to justify them disrespecting Egyptian culture, disrespecting history, disrespecting world history, all this stuff. Like, goodness. Yeah. So, anyway, I don't anticipate this going well. Because the difference between this, you see a big difference between this versus something like, you know, the Hogwarts Legacy cancel people and all this kind of stuff is, first of all, this is actually valid criticism. Secondly, you'll find that people, the blue hairs of Twitter, the Troon activists, all that kind of stuff, they don't have money and they don't support stuff. They don't support the stuff they pretend they do. Meanwhile, people who will complain about actual things like this and wanting to see historical accuracy versus, or even things like the Bud Light fiasco and all that, the difference is that they're actually speaking with their wallets. Look what happened with Budweiser, which, man, I'll probably make a video about that too, because it looks like they are panicking. But there's just a big difference there. And it just shows, this kind of stuff just shows. When you see how Netflix is just pandering to woke people, trying to virtue signal, all this kind of stuff. You have people who are on their team who are like that marketing guru at Bud Light, at Budweiser, who she just caused that giant stink. You have a bunch of people like that who have gender studies degrees and this, that, and the other, and they're so used to performative virtue signaling on Twitter and so on and so forth. And they think that that reflects the real world and what people want to see and what people like. But they don't realize is it does not reflect the real world at all. And most people do not align with all of that woke ideology and stuff. It's just gotten so out of hand. It's absurd and it's ridiculous. And this is just also bad what you're doing to the actress too. You know, one could argue, oh, she shouldn't have taken the role. And I mean, I get it that there is some truth to that. But at the same time, you know, if someone's if some big production like this wants to offer you a role and wants to pay you a sizable amount of money, most actors are going to take it. And I don't even totally blame them. Like, I don't even blame her for taking this opportunity. I mean, it's a big opportunity for her, and she probably got a big paycheck for it. So it's not so much her fault, but she's the one who's going to take a lot of the backlash for it. So to me, it's just, this isn't good for Netflix in general, and it's not good for, you know, especially Netflix trying to do this virtue thing. And you see this with all kinds of stuff. But it's just like, well, Netflix is going to get some of the backlash, but she's going to get a lot of the backlash too, and she's going to get a lot of hate too. So they're actually doing her a disservice by even casting her, and they're making things more difficult for her in the long run as well. So anyway, there's my opinions on the whole situation. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. I will catch you next time, and in the meantime, go boom. I won't obey.